So today again we'll be going through a bit of basics of molecular medicine as to what forms a part of your autoimmune disorders, what forms the basis of your cancer and other malignant disorders. So first we'll look at the molecular pathogenesis of cancer. So here we'll start with somatic evolution of cancer. So what is somatic evolution? Mainly cancer develops through the Darwinian theory. So what is the Darwinian theory? It says that survival of the fittest, right? So there is Darwinian evolution of the somatic cells. So cells acquire mutation that confer a growth advantage to them compared to the other cells. This results in a natural selection favoring the fittest cells. So these cells which have a growth advantage dominate the other cells, and then there is excessive proliferation of these cells. That's the basic theory of the development of the cancer cells. So the key concepts that we have to understand here is that first there's a mutation that happens, and then there is proliferation of the cells which leads to clonal expansion. And then in this process also there is a selection of particular cells which have a growth advantage. And then after that there is genetic diversity and adaptation of the cells to the environment. The next is tumor heterogeneity. So tumor heterogeneity is nothing but different genetic clones can exist within one particular tumor. This happens because once there is clonal proliferation of the cells, there are further mutations which happen. This leads to different types of genetic clones which can be there in one particular mass or tumor. Okay, so what are the consequences of this intra-tumor heterogeneity? There can be variable morphology. There can be drug resistance to those particular clones. There can be excessive proliferation and disease progression. And some of these clones can even lead to metastasis and also relapse once the disease has been cured. Okay, so what are the sources of these intratumor heterogeneity? Mainly it happens because of chromosomal instability, DNA repair defects, and ongoing mutations. Okay, so ongoing mutations in the sense the mutations that occur during the process of the cloning sequence, which are important from your exam point of view. These are just common oncogenes that we will come across in your daily clinical practice as well. So certain genes you have to keep in your mind and what cancer it is associated with. And also for your MRCP part 1 MCQs, you might have to remember what type of mutation they undergo. Okay, so the RAS gene, I think all of you all will be familiar with it. It's a very common gene. The mechanism of mutation here is a point mutation. And the cancer associated will be colon cancer, pancreas cancer, and lung carcinoma. So I'm not going into the detail of the process of mutation, like point mutation. What is a point mutation? What is translocation? I think all of you all will be familiar with it. Okay. So mechanisms of tumor suppressor gene inactivation. As I mentioned earlier, the two-hit hypothesis where both the alleles have to be inactivated, and there is also the genetic mechanism. So first we'll look at the two-hit hypothesis. Here there is an inherited mutation which occurs in the first allele of the gene, and then there is a somatic mutation in the second. So both the alleles are affected. And this is a two-step process. The first hit occurs and also the second hit occurs. Then there is loss of function of the gene, resulting in there is no suppression of the tumor gene progression and proliferation. This results in development of malignancy. Okay, genetic mutation, again, it is like the other genes. It can be any type of mutation. The genetic mechanisms can be point mutation. It can be chromosomal deletion, loss of zygosity, and also promoter hypermethylation. Okay, this is a process which occurs during the translation of the gene, like a post-translation modification. So examples of tumors that happen because of loss of function of the tumor suppressor gene are retinoblastoma, familial adenomatosis polyposis, and Li-Fraumeni syndrome. This is known as the guardian of the genome. Why is it known as the guardian of the genome? Because this gene mainly helps in regulating the cell cycle, the process of damage repair, and also apoptosis. Okay, so if all of this is lost, then there'll be excessive proliferation of cells which are not well differentiated, which are not the exact, which have the exact phenotype of the normal cell. So there will be excessive proliferation of malignant cell, and usually these kind of tumors are very aggressive. Okay, so how does it happen? What is the function of this gene? So TP53 gene acts as a DNA damage, controls DNA damage repair, and so there is cell cycle arrest. There will be DNA repair, And then if the damage is irreparable, then there will be cell death by the process of apoptosis or senescence. Okay, this is what the gene regulates. Whenever there's a damage, there's a repair happening. If it's not possible, then there will be cell death. Here I've summarized few just high yield points that are important from an exam point of view. So interleukin 1 mainly results in fever and inflammation. Key diseases would be arthritis, gout, and Still's disease. Okay, TNF alpha, again, it is seen in acute as well as chronic inflammation, and it is commonly seen in septic shock and rheumatoid arthritis. So when you're using anti-TNF drugs, you should rule out that the patient is not having sepsis, and major adverse effect would be reactivation of TB and also opportunistic infections. Heat shock proteins, again, they mainly help in protein production, and mutations can lead to new neurodegenerative disorders and also malignancies. TGF beta promotes tissue repair as well as fibrosis, commonly associated with liver cirrhosis and pulmonary fibrosis. And reactive oxygen species are nothing but free radicals, which result in oxidative injury and most commonly associated with MI, stroke, or COPD.